Welcome back to the Deep Dive. This is where we take your specialized source material, all those notes, the research, the insights, and we really dig into it, turning it into, well, a deep and engaging analysis.
That's right.
Today, we are definitely strapping in. It's Genoa City time, that emotional roller coaster, and we're diving into the really high-stakes world of relationship dynamics. We're focusing on two big questions, really.
Okay.
Can someone who constantly self-sabotages, ever truly commit? And on the flip side, can a relationship that's basically built on broken trust survive when someone tries to fix it with a, pressure cooker proposal?
Absolutely. And our sources today give us this fascinating contrast, don't they? Two major relationship shifts happening.
Yeah.
You've got Billy Abbott and Sally Spectra.
Yeah.
They seem to be moving toward this, unlikely stability.
Unlikely is the word.
Right. And then, bam, you have Claire Grace Newman and Kyle Abbott just heading straight for an immediate, possibly tragic implosion.
Total train wreck incoming.
So our mission here is to really analyze the historical baggage these four characters are dragging around. We need to dissect the current dynamics, which are, let's be honest, pretty volatile.
Very.
And truly understand how everything they've done in the past is dictating these huge relationship-altering decisions right now.
And isn't that the central paradox? It's why we find this stuff so compelling, I think. You've got one couple, Billy and Sally, who seem to be defying all the odds, moving towards some kind of big commitment. Despite Billy's, his history is just legendary for disaster.
Tremendous disaster, yeah.
Exactly. And then conversely, you've got Kyle and Claire, and they are imploding precisely because Kyle used this panicked, super high-speed proposal basically just to cover up a major betrayal.
Yeah, the analysis we're looking at really suggests we're watching historical patterns being tested right now. So for you listening, the core question really becomes, can a known wild card like Billy actually rewrite his own story after years of betting against himself?
Right.
And conversely, can Claire, with her deeply rooted trauma, ever forgive a relationship that started, or at least continued, based on even one deceptive half-truth?
Okay, so let's start with the one who kind of miraculously seems to be maybe turning a corner, Billy Abbott.
We absolutely have to start with Billy, Jason Thompson playing him. And our sources, they're completely unanimous on this. He is the quintessential relationship wildcard.
No question.
When you look back at his history, his risk-taking, it's not just about corporate power plays or gambling away fortunes.
No, it's deeper.
It's woven right into how he handles love, feelings, emotions. And the track record is, frankly, it's appalling.
Appalling is a good word. It's crucial, though, like you said, to understand why. The sources say while cheating is definitely part of his story.
Oh, absolutely.
The bigger, maybe the deeper issue defining Billy is just his profound unreliability.
That's the core of it.
It goes way beyond infidelity, doesn't it? It speaks to someone who, when things get really tough, you can't count on him.
His exes say it again and again. He's always looking for the next rush, the next bit of chaos. It means he's basically got one foot out the door. The minute stability is actually needed. It's like he actively sabotages happiness because, peace feels boring to him.
Actively sabotages. I think that's the key phrase from the material. He doesn't just stumble into these messes. Often it feels like he engineers the drama himself.
Yeah, it does seem that way sometimes.
And the list of betrayals, the really high-profile ones, it's just stunning. We should probably look at some of the most impactful ones, the case studies, starting with Victoria Newman.
Oh, Victoria. Played by Amelia Heinle. She is practically the definition of a repeat victim of Billy's chaos, isn't she?
Sadly.
She's given him chance after chance, often really believing he could change, that he could be redeemed. But the historical record, it just shows her hope gets consistently crushed.
Multiple times.
Including multiple instances of, straight-up unfaithfulness. The real tragedy with Victoria and Billy isn't just the individual betrayals, it's the cycle.
The cycle, yeah.
She sees the potential good guy under all that mess, and then, just as she starts to trust him again, boom, he pulls the rug out. It's this chronic pattern that makes everyone so skeptical about him and Sally now.
But, okay, the betrayal that really, truly defines just how destructive his impulses can be that involved the Summers family. And the sources really highlight the complexity and just the sheer severity of that act.
Oh, absolutely. That one was, wow. The specific incident, just to remind everyone, was when Billy slept with Summer Newman, Allison Lanier playing her now.
Right.
While he was explicitly engaged to her mother, Phyllis Summers, played then by Michelle Stafford.
Just think about the emotional calculation there, or lack thereof.
Exactly. It wasn't just cheating. It was this double betrayal that just shattered two of the most significant relationships in his life, like simultaneously.
And as if that wasn't bad enough.
Right. If that wasn't enough, this incredibly shocking act of destruction happened right before Billy took off for gambling rehab.
The timing was unbelievable.
It completely framed his exit from Genoa City, not as some desperate plea for help or recovery, but more like he was just fleeing the wreckage he himself created. He basically used betrayal as his dramatic exit ramp.
Yeah.
It confirmed his total unwillingness to face any kind of responsibility.
And speaking of Phyllis, that engagement, the timeline around it, it's maybe the most concrete proof we have of his inherent instability when it comes to commitment. Can you detail that implosion again? Because it really shows how fast he can just flip on these monumental decisions.
Oh, it was pure public humiliation.
Yeah.
A masterclass in it, really.
Huh.
Billy had just proposed to Phyllis. A huge commitment, you'd assume.
You would hope.
Only to have the whole thing just implode minutes later. They were sitting right there at Nick and Sharon Newman's recent wedding.
Yeah, I remember this.
And when Sharon revealed that Nick and Phyllis had slept together, Billy, reacting instantly to her infidelity, immediately called off his own engagement. An engagement he'd made, what, 5 minutes before?
5 minutes. It's insane.
It was heartbreak and retraction happening in real time in front of everyone. This specific event just proves his decisions about commitment are reactive, they're impulsive, and fundamentally they're unstable. He just cannot hold on to a major decision when any external pressure comes along. Doesn't even matter whose fault the pressure is.
Okay, now let's flip it for a second. Let's talk about a time he was the victim of betrayal. But even then, it was maximized because of who the other person was.
Right, we absolutely have to bring up Chelsea Lawson Newman, Melissa Claire Egan playing her. When Billy was with Chelsea, she fell back into bed with Adam Newman, Mark Grossman.
Adam Newman, of all people.
Exactly. The sources really emphasize that Adam is Billy's chief nemesis. This isn't just some casual rivalry. Their enmity is deeply rooted in the horrific fact that Adam Newman was responsible for the death of Billy's daughter, Delia.
The absolute worst person.
For Chelsea to cheat on Billy with Adam, the man who caused the single greatest, most profound trauma of Billy's entire life, that choice just made the betrayal exponentially more painful. It set directly into Billy's already massive portfolio of relationship trauma and deep-seated distrust.
So given this, staggering history of self-destruction, unreliable behavior, why is Dilly like this? Our sources point to a pretty clear psychological root cause, don't they? Something we really need to unpack. The mommy issues.
Indeed, they do. The analysis we've seen consistently connects Billy's romantic dysfunction back to his very complex relationship with his mother, Jill Abbott, played by the legendary Jess Walton.
Jill Abbott, of course.
This often, fraught dynamic is cited again and again as making his romantic relationships inherently difficult. It seems like he's often subconsciously testing his partners. He's seeking some kind of validation or reliability that maybe he never fully got or felt secure in from Jill.
And how does that manifest? How does it play out?
Well, it seems to manifest in two main ways. One, he seeks out partners who are really strong and stable, like Victoria or perhaps now Sally. But then two, he immediately starts testing that stability by creating or seeking out chaos. Often it feels like he's trying to see if they'll abandon him.
So confirming his deepest fear.
Exactly. Confirming his deepest fear about his own reliability, his own worthiness of love. It's like he's creating scenarios where abandonment is almost inevitable, mirroring some unresolved dynamic with Jill.
So he's essentially setting himself up for failure to prove himself right about being unlovable or unreliable.
Precisely. He's testing loyalty and commitment in these really destructive ways, making the eventual heartbreak his own self-fulfilling prophecy. This deep-seated unreliability, rooted right there, that mother-son dynamic, is what makes his current stability with Sally so.
Well, genuinely remarkable, but also so fundamentally fragile. Okay, which brings us squarely to Sally Spectra, Courtney Hope playing her. Now, I have to challenge the analysis a bit here. If Billy's history is just this litany of betrayal and chaos, why are we feeling confident this relationship is different? Isn't the stability just, a fluke, a small sample size?
And that is the critical million-dollar high-stakes question, isn't it? But what the sources really emphasize is Sally's unique influence on him, and crucially, her pragmatism.
Okay, pragmatism. Tell me more.
She is not some wide-eyed newcomer to drama. She walked into this relationship with her eyes wide open, fully aware of Billy's history. She's a survivor herself, and she's a strategic thinker. The material notes that Billy has actually been a pretty good partner to her so far.
So far.
Exactly, so far. And the reason seems to be because Sally established very clear boundaries and consequences early on.
Right, let's detail that boundary setting because the whole business dynamic between them really became the proving ground for the relationship, didn't it?
It absolutely did. It was the ultimate professional test case. The sources detail this critical tension point around Chancellor Industries. Billy was, in classic Billy fashion, becoming relentless, almost obsessed with pursuing the company.
Typical Billy, chasing
Um,
the next big thing.
exactly. And Sally recognized this immediately. She saw Billy reverting to type-chasing chaos, risking the stability of his own career, his reputation, potentially everything they were building. And she put her foot down.
Good for her.
She demanded that Billy respect the massive career risk she herself took by leaving her high-profile job at Marchetti to be with him, to build something new together.
And what did that demand actually require him to do? Because that's the key.
It required him to sacrifice the thrill of the chase, something Billy almost never does. He had to give up that adrenaline rush. And he did it. He respected her boundary. The commitment was sealed not just when he backed off from Chancellor, but when he named Sally the CEO of Abacom.
Wow, that's huge.
It really was. This wasn't just some token gesture or a handout. This was Billy actively subordinating his impulse for chaos to prioritize Sally's ambition, her stability, her future. It showed genuine respect for her boundaries, her career, which is a massive departure from his usual self-centeredness, likely driven by those, underlying mommy issues.
Okay. So the professional stability seems confirmed. And now it looks like that stability is bleeding over into their personal lives. The consensus seems to be that Billy is going to make some sort of commitment to Sally this week. Something personal, romantic. It can't really be business related, right? She's already the CEO.
Exactly. This is where we pivot from analyzing the past to some pretty high-stakes speculation about the immediate future. Whatever this commitment is, it needs to be big enough to match the real feelings that seem to have grown between them. They need to move past that initial rebound stage, remember. They kind of got together as a distraction after Adam and Chelsea blew things up.
Right, the rebound phase. So what are the options? The sources suggest a couple of possibilities. One is maybe less traumatic.
Yet the lower stakes prediction, the more logical, maybe practical one suggested in the material, is that Billy might just ask Sally to move in with him.
Okay, makes sense.
It's a natural next step, right?
Right.
A practical way to test the relationship's durability day to day. What the sources call the test run.
A test run. But there's a bigger possibility looming, isn't there? The more dramatic one.
Oh, yeah. While moving in is definitely significant, the preferred dramatic outcome, and the one that truly tests Billy's ability to finally defy his destructive past, is something much more romantic and obviously a much bigger commitment. A marriage proposal.
A proposal. Wow.
This would be Billy publicly acknowledging Sally's loyalty, recognizing that she really has stuck with him through thick and thin, that she's shown him a level of trustworthiness and stability that, frankly, very few others in his life, especially past partners, have managed. He might actually see this as the ultimate bet on himself, a wager that this time, finally, he won't blow it up.
But hold on a second. If he proposes, there's also a strong counter-prediction mentioned, right? That Sally might actually say no.
Yes, absolutely.
Now, if she really loves him and believes he's changed, why would she reject what most people would see as the ultimate sign of faith, the ultimate proof of change?
And this loops right back to Sally's pragmatism. She might refuse precisely because she recognizes the impulse driving the proposal.
Ah, the why behind it.
Exactly. She might see it, maybe correctly, as Billy gambling again, but gambling on love. He'd be rushing forward with this huge, life-altering decision. And that volatility, that speed, it mirrors his inherent risk-taking behavior, the very behavior that destroyed his relationships with Victoria and Phyllis. Sally needs absolute certainty that this proposal comes from genuine, lasting change, not just a fleeting moment of excitement or grandiosity.
So she might actually prioritize that test run idea. She might prefer the stability of moving in first, building a reliable, maybe even boring domestic life together, essentially forcing Billy to prove his commitment through everyday reliability before she commits to marriage.
Precisely. For Sally, the big, flashy ring might actually signal volatility, whereas the shared lease, the shared bills, that signals real, grounded stability.
Interesting perspective. So regardless of the exact form it takes, whether it's a house key or a diamond ring, the sources seem pretty confident that a really big, life-altering change is coming for them.
Definitely.
Yeah.
They are moving forward quite dramatically, which, when you consider Billy's historical capacity for self-destruction, is what's a monumental leap.
Okay, now we have to pivot sharply. Let's use a strong thematic bridge here. If Billy's history shows us that self-sabotage can be chronic, almost a default setting, Kyle's recent actions prove that dishonesty. That can be instantly contagious and destructive.
Mhm.
We're moving now to Kyle Abbott, Michael Mealer playing him, and Claire Grace Newman, Haley Aaron. And this couple seems to be heading towards a rapid-fire implosion.
The contrast is just so stark, isn't it?
Mm.
Billy and Sally are slowly, cautiously building something stable.
Yeah.
Kyle and Claire, they basically destroyed their foundation almost instantly.
Yeah.
The setup for disaster was Kyle confessing about Audra Charles and then immediately proposing marriage.
Right. Smooth move, Kyle.
It was such a transparent, panicked attempt to use this massive commitment purely as damage control.
And it completely backfired, didn't it? Claire asked for time. Time to think things through after he dropped that bomb, which seems like the most reasonable, rational response you could possibly have to betrayal. But what did Kyle do instead?
Instead of giving her that space, that respect, he pressed her, pushed her for them to move in together, get engaged, trying to basically rush the relationship past the point of pain, past the betrayal itself.
It's like trying to fast forward through the hard part.
Exactly. And that urgency, that pressure, it just made his confession, which, let's remember, was already incomplete, look even more suspicious. He acted like a guy trying to distract from a crime scene, not like a man expressing genuine love and remorse.
And Claire, obviously feeling this intense, completely unnecessary pressure, she reacted how?
She snapped at him. The sources detail her asking, sharply, "What's next? A baby." She felt like things were spinning totally out of control because he was moving way, way too fast immediately after admitting he lied to her. The speed itself became the proof of his deception.
And this is where we absolutely have to bring in Claire's background, right? Because her reaction isn't just standard relationship drama, it's fundamentally driven by her trauma.
Oh, absolutely critical context. This isn't just any relationship turbulence. For Claire, this is her first and only relationship ever. And she is carrying incredibly severe emotional issues from being raised by, well, by crazy, vengeful Jordan Howard.
Jordan, who manipulated her for years.
For years, Jordan lied to Claire, controlled every aspect of her life, all under the guise of motherly love and protection. It was systematic abuse disguised as care.
So for Claire, speed, pressure, rushing things, that's basically synonymous with manipulation and deceit, because that's exactly how Jordan operated with her.
Precisely. Her entire foundation is incredibly fragile. Any hint of dishonesty, especially when it's combined with that kind of aggressive emotional pressure Kyle was applying, it just triggers that deep-seated terror of being lied to and controlled all over again. She subconsciously equates Kyle's desperate rushing with Jordan's calculated, deceitful manipulation. Her trust is extremely hard won, and Kyle just casually shattered it.
And the worst part is, the sources confirm Kyle knew this. He knew dishonesty was a massive trigger for her. He ignored a direct warning.
He had every single warning flare. Claire had explicitly told Kyle, point blank, that dishonesty was a major non-negotiable trigger for her, given her history with Jordan. He completely ignored her clearly stated boundary.
Unbelievable.
And furthermore, it wasn't just Claire he ignored. He ignored his own parents, Jack Abbott and Diane Jenkins. They both advised him, pretty emphatically apparently, to slow your roll. Respect Claire's pace, give her space.
But he didn't listen.
Nope. Despite this chorus of warnings from everyone who supposedly cares about him, Kyle barrels ahead and buys that big old ring.
And the fact that he bought the ring so impulsively just seals the deal on how reactive and panicked this whole proposal really was. When exactly did he buy it?
Kyle admitted himself he bought the ring that exact same day he confessed, or rather, half-confessed, about his infidelity with Audra.
Wow, talk about bad optics.
It completely reinforces Claire's suspicion, her perspective, that the proposal wasn't some grand act of love or commitment. It was an act of pure panic, designed solely to silence her questions, control the narrative, manage the fallout from his deception. It was damage control dressed up as devotion, making her incredibly skeptical, and frankly, she's absolutely right to be.
Okay, so let's really break down what Claire knows right now versus the reality. From her point of view, Kyle got caught kissing another woman, Audra Charles. Then, almost in the same breath, he proposed marriage, clearly as a distraction or a fix.
Right.
She reacted understandably. She walked out on the proposal. She refused to even kiss him goodnight. So she's operating under this cloud of immediate, completely justified skepticism. But the crucial part is she still doesn't know the full story, does she?
No, not even close. And that incomplete information, that's Kyle's calculated gamble. He gave her confession, sure, but it was only a carefully curated half-truth. Claire only knows the version that Audra fed her. He kissed me in Paris.
Just a kiss. Sounds almost minor in the grand scheme of Genoa City betrayals.
Exactly. But the consensus among our sources is crystal clear. The whole truth is much, much worse than just a simple kiss. It crosses the line from an emotional transgression into a massive physical betrayal.
Okay, we need to walk through the specifics then. The train car incident, the full, probably shocking details of what actually happened right after Damien came in, because this is the truth Kyle is actively, deliberately concealing, and it feels like it holds the key to why this relationship is probably doomed.
This is the absolutely essential context that Claire is missing.
Mm-hmm.
And remember the setting. This happened immediately after Damien Kane's death. High stress, raw emotions, inhibitions, probably at an all-time low.
Okay, set the scene.
Okay, step one. Audra shows up at Kyle's door. The sources say she was explicitly scheming, planning to take advantage of his vulnerable state.
Predatory move.
Totally. Step two. Kyle answers the door, wearing only a towel. This immediately confirms the intimate, boundary-crossing nature of the encounter right from the start.
Only a towel?
Step three. They start making out, and apparently it was passionate. Step four. The physicality escalates very quickly. They wound up on the bed.
On the bed. This is way past a kiss in Paris.
Way past. Step five. He was physically on top of her, still wearing only that towel. The sources described this as involving full body contact. It had progressed significantly.
Wow, okay. So that sequence, from answering the door in a towel to full body contact on a bed, that is leagues beyond, he kissed me in Paris. This was an extremely intimate, nearly consummated encounter.
The sources absolutely confirmed this was far beyond some fleeting moment of passion. It was a series of conscious choices that led to extensive physical contact and undeniable sexual proximity. Now here's the crucial final step, step 6. Kyle did finally stop it. He pulled back just short of actual consummation.
He stopped it, so technically.
Technically, yes. And the analysis here is critical. The fact that Kyle stopped technically allows him to claim innocence, to say nothing happened. But Claire doesn't know why he stopped. Did he intend to stop all along because of his conscience kicking in? Or was it simply happenstance? Did someone almost walk in? Did his realization of the colossal risk he was taking only arrive at the very, very last second?
And it's that ambiguity, that near miss that Kyle is deliberately hiding. He gets to paint himself as the good guy who ultimately resisted temptation while completely concealing the sheer depth of the betrayal that led up to that final moment.
Exactly. He's managing his image. The source material strongly suggests that if Claire knew the full snapshot, picturing Kyle on top of Audra on the bed in nothing but a towel, she would immediately recognize his rushed proposal as total manipulative garbage.
Oh, absolutely.
Furthermore, the sources predict that if she knew the full extent of that train car incident, she likely wouldn't feel very bad at all about any potential revenge actions she might take down the line. His deliberate, calculated deception essentially gives her the moral high ground, or at least it nullifies his right to judge her. He has forfeited the right to hold her to a standard of fidelity that he himself came dangerously close to completely abandoning. And it's this hidden truth, combined with the intense pressure of that sham proposal, that seems to push Claire right onto a path of desperate emotional escape. She feels her world spinning out of control. She's deeply triggered by Kyle's fundamental dishonesty, so she runs. She's seeking refuge, any kind of escape, and who does she encounter? A new face in her orbit, Holden Novak.
Ah, Holden Novak, played by Nathan Owens. And he's not just some random guy, right? The sources describe him as having this acknowledged, massive, huge crush on her.
Exactly. He's already interested. So he sees her in distress, looking vulnerable, and instead of maybe stepping back or encouraging caution, he simply encourages her vulnerability. He creates an opening.
How does their interaction play out?
Well, it's a perfect storm, really. Emotional volatility meeting opportunism. Holden asks her what's wrong, basically invites her to confide in him, to lean on him. But Claire's reaction isn't to talk through her trauma or process her feelings about Kyle. No, she makes this drastic, highly impulsive decision. She declares she wants to get drunk.
Okay.
And this is significant because she explicitly states, I have never been drunk before. This is totally new territory for her. And Holden, instead of maybe suggesting that's not a great idea given her emotional state, is described as being totally down with that.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, it just creates this toxic mix. Intense emotional distress, complete inexperience with alcohol, and a guy with a ready-made crush standing by, eager to facilitate.
Okay, this moves us straight into the really high-stakes speculation that the sources are focusing on now. The possibility of Claire cheating on Kyle. Hmm. Given that she's, as you said, a complete lightweight, never been drunk, and she's deliberately engaging in this series of highly volatile first-time experiences under extreme duress, the speculation is mounting that she may very well wake up in bed with Holden.
It seems like a sadly plausible outcome, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And that outcome would obviously be devastating for Kyle. But for Holden, who's described as being head over heels for her, the sources suggest he would be absolutely thrilled.
Thrilled, wow.
Yeah, he'd likely see it as his long-awaited chance, his opening to be with the woman he admires, regardless of the messy ethics or the emotional fallout for Claire. Conversely, the sources predict this would probably shock Claire herself.
Why shock her if she goes through with it?
Because she's not acting out of the desire for Holden. She's not seeking a new partner. She's seeking oblivion. She's seeking an escape from the painful reality Kyle has forced upon her. She'd be acting impulsively, driven by trauma and intoxication, not by strategic romantic planning.
Okay, but here's the really fascinating part, the moral clarity check, and what seems to distinguish her character fundamentally from Kyle's. The sources predict that if Claire does sleep with Holden while drunk, she likely would not lie to Kyle about it.
That is the crucial defining difference between them, isn't it? Character. Claire, despite everything she's been through, despite her trauma, fundamentally seems to value honesty, or at least she seems incapable of Kyle's level of calculated deception.
So she'd confess.
The prediction is she would confront the situation head-on, immediately. Maybe with shock, maybe even with a simple, bewildered whoops. But the key is she won't be a hypocrite by trying to conceal it. She would come clean to Kyle right away.
And that act of immediate, probably painful honesty would stand in such stark contrast to Kyle's elaborate scheme of half-truths and that manipulative proposal.
Absolutely. It would be a damning contrast. And the final blunt verdict from the analysis on this potential situation. If Claire cheats, Kyle has nobody to blame but himself.
Hard to argue with that.
Not really. Kyle engineered this whole crisis. He shattered the foundational trust. He ignored her explicit warnings about dishonesty being a trigger. He applied intense emotional pressure when she asked for space. And he used a fake proposal to cover up a betrayal that was way more serious than he admitted. The fallout. It's entirely on his shoulders.
So the unfortunate trajectory for this couple seems pretty clear now. While Billy and Sally are, against all odds, moving towards some form of cautious commitment, Kyle and Claire are moving much further away from any kind of happy ending, potentially spiraling into like mutually assured destruction.
It feels that way. And what's so fascinating or maybe tragic about this particular descent is how preventable it all feels. Was Kyle just trying to save his relationship, or was he unconsciously testing his own willpower back there on that train car, trying to prove something to himself?
That's a really interesting question. Was he testing Claire or himself?
It goes to the core of his instability, maybe. Kyle has always seen himself as the good guy, right? The moral center, especially compared to someone like Adam. He probably thought by stopping just short with Audra, he proved his loyalty to Claire. But what he actually proved was that he's capable of extensive deception just to protect his own self-image. He rushed that proposal not just to silence Claire's doubts, but maybe also to silence that voice in his own head, reminding him he came within a hair's breadth of being exactly like the people he constantly judges. #tag outro.
Wow. So this deep dive really shows us two relationships heading in completely opposite directions, doesn't it? It's a perfect illustration of how history, baggage, it all informs the present moment.
Absolutely.
On one side, you've got Billy Abbott and Sally Spectra somehow moving toward this monumental commitment despite Billy's lifelong pattern of chaos. And they're seemingly stabilized only by Sally's, unwavering loyalty and her ability to set firm boundaries.
It seems that way, yeah. Her pragmatism is key.
And then on the completely other side, you have Kyle and Claire facing potential mutual betrayal, maybe total implosion, stemming entirely from Kyle's desperate half-truths and his rushed, fundamentally deceitful decisions.
And the common thread running through both these stories, it seems, is that in Genoa City, and maybe this applies outside of soaps too, right? Real commitment requires brutal, sometimes painful honesty.
Honesty is the bedrock.
Has to be. And emotional baggage, whether it's Billy's chronic testing that seems rooted in his issues with Jill, or Claire's profound trauma from Jordan Howard, that baggage is always the ultimate spoiler, just waiting for a chance to derail any happiness.
Yeah.
What the sources seem to show us here is that honesty, even when it's hard, can potentially conquer decades of destructive history, like maybe with Billy and Sally. But calculated deception, that will instantly trigger self-destruction, no matter how new or promising the relationship might seem, like with Kyle and Claire.
Okay, so let's leave you, our listener, with this provocative thought to chew on. Billy Abbott, the chronic gambler, the ultimate risk taker, seems to be getting saved by Sally's refusal to gamble on him too quickly by her demand for stability. Meanwhile, Kyle Abbott, who always saw himself as the moral paragon, is being destroyed by his calculated risk, the risk he took by choosing to lie.
Mhm.
So if loyalty, like Sally's, is the key to building commitment, and broken trust, like Kyle created, is the trigger for betrayal, which character, Billy or Kyle, is truly gambling with the highest stakes for their future happiness right now, and which relationship is inevitably going to self-destruct first?
That's the tension, isn't it? That's what we'll keep watching unfold.
Absolutely. That's it for this deep dive. We will see you next time.